Hey everyone, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
So, get this. What if I told you that the real pulse of a whole community, its highs, its lows, its worries,
Yeah.
could actually be felt just by following a minor league baseball team?
Hmm. Sounds almost quaint, like you said.
Yeah,
Bit old-fashioned.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the surprising thing you find in Will Bardenwerper's book, Homestand, Small Town Baseball and the Fight for the Soul of America.
Right.
That's the book we're diving into today, based on listener recommendation,
Oh,
actually.
nice. And yeah, for anyone interested in, how small towns tick, what holds them together, this book is, it's a really fascinating look.
It is.
It's nonfiction, takes us right into Batavia, New York,
Mm-hmm.
and it really zooms in on their baseball team, the Muckdogs,
Yeah.
especially during this really uncertain time.
Yeah, that whole thing with Major League Baseball possibly cutting ties.
Exactly. That threat hanging over them. It's the core conflict, really. And what I thought was great, and maybe you did too, was how the author, Bardenwerper, he doesn't just stick to the scores, right?
No, not at all.
He gets into the lives of the fans, the people working behind the scenes,
Yeah,
and how this team is just like woven into Batavia's identity while the town's dealing with all the usual modern American stuff.
totally. And one of the real strengths, I think, something that really stuck with me, was how intimate that picture felt.
Yeah, intimate's a good word for it.
You really feel that connection, that history between
Wow.
the town and the team, the Muckdogs.
Mm-hmm.
And you meet some really memorable people along the way, real characters.
Oh, yeah. Like who?
Well, you've got folks like John Karuba, the guy who's like this online champion for the team.
Right, the super fan.
Yeah, exactly. And then these lifelong supporters like Dr. Fanara. His dedication just spans decades. It's incredible.
That kind of deep-rooted passion.
Precisely. If you appreciate those kinds of, human stories within the bigger picture, this book really delivers on that.
And for me, another thing that really jumped out was the way it looks at the bigger picture of baseball itself.
Mm-hmm. The industry changes.
Yeah, especially the minor leagues. It makes you think about, like, the money side, the big decisions made way up top.
And how they trickle down.
Right, and how they hit these smaller towns, these communities, in ways that are, well, pretty profound, actually.
Definitely gave me pause thinking about how much we value these, local spots, these institutions.
It did.
And what's really interesting, especially if you're thinking about the challenges, American towns are facing,
Which many are.
right, is how losing the Muckdogs, or the threat of losing them, became kind of symbolic.
Symbolic of bigger things.
Yeah, bigger economic shifts, social changes. The author really argues that these seemingly small things, like a local team, are actually way more vital to a community's soul, I guess, than you might think from the outside.
That's a really good point. It's like the connective tissue.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, I really enjoyed the book overall, Homestand. But
Yeah.
it wasn't perfect.
Okay, fair enough. What stood out?
For me, sometimes. All the anecdotes, they were great stories, individually, really interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
But occasionally it made the main story, the main narrative thread, feel a little spread out, a bit diffuse.
I see what you mean, like a collection of snapshots rather than a continuous film.
Kinda, like meeting loads of fascinating people at a party, but sometimes you forget why the party started,
That's a fair point. And maybe keeping track of everyone. There are quite a few names dropped.
Yeah, the cast is pretty large.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but sometimes maybe a touch overwhelming.
And I guess tied to that, while the baseball industry context was useful,
Yeah.
there were moments that pulled focus maybe a bit too much away from Batavia itself.
Right. Just when you're getting invested in the town story.
Yeah, maybe slightly took away from that core connection you were building with the place and its people.
Exactly. I kind of wanted to stick with certain people or town issues just a little longer sometimes before we zoomed out again.
Understandable.
But honestly, those are pretty minor things in what was, for me, a really worthwhile read.
Agreed. Despite those small points, Homestand really does give you this valuable window into a slice of America that maybe doesn't always get the spotlight.
True.
It forces you to think about the role shared passions play, like, rooting for the home team.
Mm-hmm. That sense of belonging.
Yeah, that collective identity, especially when facing pressures from the outside. Like, what does it mean for a town spirit when something like that, a pillar, is threatened?
That's a big question. So, okay, wrapping it all up. Rating time.
Okay.
For someone looking to understand that that link between community, local identity, sports, I think Homestand, small town baseball, and the fight for the soul of America gets a solid 4 out of 5 stars from me.
Yeah, I'd second that. A strong 4. It's insightful. It's got heart.
Definitely.
If you like nonfiction that really digs into the human side of these bigger trends,
Yeah.
Homestand is definitely worth picking up.
It really leaves you thinking, doesn't it, about those local anchors?
Makes you wonder about the Muckdogs in your own community, perhaps.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into Homestand.
Indeed. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. And hey, if this chat got you interested, if you want to read the story of Batavia and the Muckdogs yourself,
Which we recommend.
we do. We've put a link to the book on Amazon right there in the description below. Makes it easy for you.
And if you enjoyed this discussion, found it useful, please do us a favor.
Go on.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the show. That way you won't miss out when we dive into other fascinating topics from sources you guys share.
Absolutely. And we genuinely want to hear from you, too.
Yeah.
Based on what we talked about today, what kind of stuck with you?
Yeah, any favorite moments or maybe something that surprised you about what you heard regarding Homestand?
Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Seriously, let's keep this conversation going.
Helps others find the show, too.
Exactly. Thanks again, everyone.
See you next time.